answer came, and his wondering gaze found nothing unusual in the room around him. He froze. Nipper. It could be part of a message, an honest attempt to convey vitally important information, or it could be the forerunner of violence aimed in his direction. Through no fault of his own, he had had enemies for 10 years. Tonight they might really act. To die was still possible, in spite of vitaplasm, or the more tedious method that employed natural flesh, or the tiny cylinders hidden away in vaults. Lives were now in danger again, human and almost human. For a moment, Ed wanted to give a warning and to call others into consultation. He wanted to shout, "Dad! Mom! Come here!" He didn't do so. Between him and the precise, benign personality that he called Dad, there was a gradually growing barrier. And for his mother, beautiful and young by art and science, he had that feeling of male protectiveness that takes the form of keeping possible dangers hidden. Ed decided to work on his own. Being essentially careful and slow-moving when it came to delicate processes, he had not touched that creeping droplet of ink. Its secret might thus be destroyed. No, he'd never do a thing so foolish. Swiftly, he folded the paper and fastened the writing under his microscope. The ink speck was almost dry now, and nothing was hidden in it. The line of the writing itself was odd under magnification. Here and there it showed tiny, irregular dots at spaced intervals, connected by fine, dragging marks. That was all. Of course, he realized that nipper might be only the first cryptic word of a message, and that he had only to wait and see what would follow. Until he began to wait, however, the significance of the word itself eluded him. A child's nickname was all that it suggested. But now his mind bore down on it, and he had the answer almost at once. A small boy climbing the wall of a pretty garden, and his casual christening by a pleasant stranger who met him thus for the first time. Among more vivid and significant details, the memory of the name itself had been mislaid. But Ed Dukas knew that in his boyhood, one person had always called him Nipper, Uncle Mitch Prell, and nobody else. Now it seemed like a secret sign. Ed gulped, his reaction suspended somewhere between shocked pleasure and a frosty sense of eeriness. To have a friend, whom he had loved as a child, vanish into space and into apparent non-existence after becoming a fugitive, and then to have what seemed to be this friend try to communicate again after 10 years, and in this weird manner, well, how would you say it? Ghosts, of course, were pure superstition. But in this age, one could still react as if to the supernatural, with tingling hide and quickened heartbeats. In fact, with the vast growth of technology, more than ever was such a feeling possible. "Uncle Mitch," Ed Dukas called quietly. Again, there was no reply. The name on the paper still could be somebody else's trick. Granger's, maybe. There were ways for him to have learned a nickname. Many people might admire Granger as much as others despised him, and it was hard to say what he might do or when, or how, for that matter. He was clever and wrong. There was still another thing to remember. Ed did not altogether love the memory of his uncle, Dr. Mitchell Prell, for this famous scientist was marked with the stigma of responsibility for a terrific mishap. No, Prell did not bear the burden alone. There were other scientists, it was said, who had poked too roughly and with too sharp a stick into nature's deepest lair. Nature had snarled back. Ed had grown up with the public hate that had resulted. He had fought against it, yet he had felt it, until sometimes he did not know where he himself stood. Now he waited for more writing to be traced on the paper under the microscope. A minute passed, but there was nothing more. He did notice, however, that the letters of that one word matched roughly the austere handwriting of his uncle. Once he glanced toward the window with some nervousness. Outside, the night was glorious. Never again would nights be hideous as they once had been. He saw lush gardens under silver light. If any devilish thing not known until recent months slithered through the shadows, it kept hidden. Ed saw other neighboring houses. New trees had grown to fair size in 10 years.